In this video, we're going to be looking at badge, or I like to say badges. It's kind of weird for some words not to add or make it plural. And so we're going to be looking at the docs, and then we're going to do a brief little example because badges aren't inherently super complex. So let's get to seeing what they're all about. So it says badges are used to highlight an item status for quick recognition. We see that we only have one import in here, which is badge. And then the default in here, which is funny because I call, the first example, everything the default. At least in my head, I think I do. We have default here, and we can see it's this rectangular gray box around the word default. And default here is all caps too. So if you notice here, it's capital DEFAULT. And here it's all caps. So keep that in mind as well. And then we could pass in color here. Once again, they're using the color scheme. If you have some other ways you want to control, manipulate, manage the coloring, feel free to, but this is just a quick way to do it using the color scheme here. And so it says pass the color scheme prop to customize a color badge. Color scheme can be any color key that exists in theme.colors. Learn more about theming, so feel free to click on that and maybe make your own themes. We also have variants right here. We have subtle, solid, and outline. So we have outline for the first example. Obviously, as we hover over these, nothing is happening. That's not its nature or characteristic. But visually, this is just a white background with a green outline and green text. The solid is the same thing as the outline, except it's filled in with green, and then the text is white in this case. And then the subtle is a kind of like a lighter green if you're using the color scheme. Green here is. And then it's a thicker green on top of it here. So use whatever, of these you want to for, your badge here, or, use multiple of them. I think these are kind of cool because these kind of remind me of things that you'd see on like GitLab or GitHub for, issues and certain kinds of markers and stuff like that. And so in here, we have this thing. So imagine you're building some kind of, you have something for your team or, some kind of website that is stating, hey, we got some new employees, right? This is a nice way to have in there, have the, new badge next to it. So you could have more of your senior developers, product owners, project managers, execs, or whatever. And this is a nice way to indicate, how new they are and then, guide some attention to these, new employees. That's just a made up example in my head, but that is one way to use these things. So they have a flex, we have the avatar, and then we have a box holding all this together. And then we have this nice little badge right here that says new. And it says you could also change the size of the badge by passing a font size prop. So we have the font size in here. We have XL font size. Actually, sorry, I was looking at the text here. You could use font size right here. This is 0.8 EM. And so this is actually substantially larger right here. Imagine if you wanted to pass like 15 pixels in, 30 pixels, whatever, valid font size property in here, you could do so as well. So if you wanted to pop out a little bit more to get some more attention, you could do that as well. And once again, there's all the props here at the bottom. Not a ton because this isn't a complex kind of component, but let's get to an example and do some stuff with badges. Alrighty, so let's look at some badges here. Let's create a one stack and we're just going to make some like basic kind of badges, and we're going to create a separate stack and make some more. So we just kind of condense it all into one quick section here. So now this is laid out right here. We have this stack, we have a direction of a row, so going from left to right. We have a spacing of 24 pixels in between all of these, and they look really boring. But I trust you, they could get a little bit more interesting here. So we have the default badge right here. Looks like I have no misspellings, which is good. And so let's go ahead and change some colors on here. So let's just change the color scheme. And now that we've added some liveliness to these badges, I think that they actually look a little bit better. The gray is fine, but is you're imagining maybe something like, I don't know, you have your GitHub, GitLab, you know, your other colorful pages where you have a bunch of badges, tokens, all that other kind of stuff here. When you mix them up like this, and you have a lot of interactive elements going on in the page, the badges really start to pop, and I think they look kind of cool. So let's make a second stack here, and let's test out the variance of the badges so we could compare the plain ones at the top here and a different set at the bottom. So you can see that we have 3 variants here. So we have an outline, we have a solid, and we have a subtle. It's actually not as much spacing as I want, so let's add some padding to the top here. There we go. So now we see both these badges are the same right here. We could see that, at least it appears that the base one is going to be this subtle right here, as this update and then this update are the exact same. But as we look at this for solid here, it's the same as subtle, except the text inside of it is white. And we could see that the outline is what we would imagine it to be, just an outline. And the color that would typically be black up here for the subtle, that text is now that green color. And so these are badges. I'm sure you could add your own personal colors, schemes to these as you want to, and make them pop even more and do even more interesting stuff. But this is the basics and how to use them. Let me know how you use them. And also like, share, subscribe if you like watching these videos. I appreciate the people that come to watch them, and I'll see you in the next one.